All right, E. We are live. Ah. Gino. Come on. Come on. This, that pure uncut cocaine. Come on. Come on, Gino.
Pure uncut cocaine. All that weight I lost, I gained it back.
Get him, Gino, get him.
Got released, did another prison sentence. So many days that I spent repenting, cause things not going the way I envision. I'm rapping like me from a different dimension. I only got love for particular bitches. You struggling vicious, wishing that you hear me. Now you call that other nigga your baby
daddy.
Wet work. My estimated net
worth. Come on.
is enough to make your chest hurt. Knees buckle. You captivated. Back in our last days, I was emasculated. You told me I would never amount to two shits. Now I get for a verse what I got for two bricks. Strange love. This is Stanley Q.
You know where they can catch that at, right?
While I'm giving back.
.com, baby. Good morning, Chicago and the rest of the world. Welcome to the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. I am your host with the most, the man with the plan, the Scotty Pimpin of podcast pimping. Yes. Happy Valentine's Day to all the ladies out there. I am joined by the Titan of Teen Tech, music mogul in the making, the Rashid Wallace podcast knowledge.
Wow. There we go. Hey, man. Bo. I am back. Season finale.
Season 3, episode number 7.
We did that.
We're doing great on the downloads. Thank you, everybody from all the various cities and countries that are listening to the show. We appreciate the love.
On this brunch. We're going to start calling these brunches, bro.
Sunday brunches, man. We got a special guest today on this episode of Why Do You Refuse to Eat Right?
Oh, boy.
Our guest is Maurice George. But before we bring him on, Stu, do we have any merch that we want to show the people?
Of course we got the merch. We want to show the people.
So if you want to support the show, you're supporting us by listening to the show. If you want to support the movement even further, we got some really fly merch. I'm going to put some up on the screen real quick. We got hoodies, T-shirts, towels, backpacks. We got pretty much anything that you would want. Red, black, and white. Support the movement. There you go.
There we go, man.
Got merch. Get your lady a hoodie for Valentine's Day. We got all different flavors. We got all different types of hoodies. We got the mug with the red piping. You could drink coffee in style with a little sexy flavor. We got the long sleeve t-shirts, t-shirt dresses for the ladies. What else we got?
Got the baseball. I think this is actually sold out. Quite honestly, I think it's sold out, but go to the store and find out.
All right, the baseball tee.
Find out. Yeah, man, we got that.
MSG merch, we got it. Ships out fast. Go to the website. We got a link. MSG merch. Check it out.
No doubt.
All right, we got Well, I do want to ask you real quick, Stu. What was on your radar this week? Anything notable on your radar?
What was on my radar this week? Man, you know what? I turned 50, man. I turned 50 a couple of weeks ago. Just what's been on my radar has been making sure that I spend these last days not getting in trouble. Like in all aspects of my life. I want my personal affairs to be in order. I want my professional affairs to be in order. And that has been what's on my radar, man. Aging. Aging has been on my radar, bro. Aging.
I hear you. Well, I hope you had a nice 50th.
I did, man.
What a milestone. I'm a couple years behind you, but I'll be there soon.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I know we're going to tear it up for E's 50 because this pandemic stuff will be behind us by then. I'm sure of it by then.
No doubt.
You know, and I'm sure we'll probably be in Japan or Thailand or Paris or.
There you go. Any of those will work. Any of those will work.
No
yes,
doubt.
Sir. What was on my radar this week? I was kind of zoned out this week, man. I didn't really pay attention to too much in the news.
Mm-hmm.
The weather is crazy in Chicago, but that's Chicago weather. It hasn't been this cold in a couple years, but it's definitely back.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this thing.
Yeah, I was checking. I was feeling your energy this week, man. That's why I sent you that text. Remember, I was like, fam, you good? You good, fam?
Yeah.
You know, I was feeling your energy from all the way over there, man, all the way over here, man.
Absolutely. I had a lot going on the real estate side, so I made it, you know.
No doubt.
I appreciate you checking on me.
No doubt. You my man.
I'm looking forward to this episode all week long. And guess what, y'all? We got a special guest. This man is actually a friend of mine. His name is Maurice George. Balanced, adjustable, and humble. Maurice George is a master barber to the stars and you're in the regular folk, including some of your favorite MCs and celebrities. He is world travel. Hopefully you get a chance to touch on some of that in terms of cuisine from some of the countries that he's traveled to. Mm-hmm. He was under the guidance of the illustrious Dr. Llaila Afrika. If you don't know who that is, we'll get into that and see what he was able to learn. And guess what? Maurice is a native of New Orleans. So he knows about food. Brother, how you doing this morning, Maurice?
Peace. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
Man, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, man. Glad you guys could have me, you know.
Absolutely.
New Orleans.
Yeah, you've been talking for a couple of weeks about you coming on the show, so I appreciate you coming on. Talk to the people a little bit about some food. So you're in New Orleans right now?
Yeah. I actually come down annually with my son to visit my mother and family. So, you know, I come down here to eat and kind of, you know, merge back into the culture every year to just feel it out and have a good time. You know,
no doubt.
Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, Mardi Gras is canceled, but they do have other events set up for people to kind of keep the Mardi Gras spirit rolling, like the floats, you know. Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I actually was thinking that New Orleans would not shut down Mardi Gras this year. I did not imagine that, man. But wow, that's kind of sad to hear, man. When is the last time Mardi Gras has been canceled, bro? I don't even think it was canceled during Katrina, man.
Well, they had some years back it was canceled due to some other, you know, outside forces. But, you know, those type of things don't really happen. It's a rarity, you know, so it's not a big thing. But this is on a greater scale. So it's not too much you could do, but just try to be creative and improvise. And that's what the people here have done. You know, they set up Mardi Gras. Floats in the Oaks it's in a park, in the city park. There's a lot of different things going on, but there's a lot of places open, and there's a lot of surrounding areas that are being supportive and keeping a lot of restaurants open. But in the city, particularly, you know, the mayor has shut down, you know, areas like Bourbon Street and Canal. They shut down those areas, you know, due to, you know, not trying to create any, you know, extra or spread of the coronavirus. So it's been pretty good.
No doubt. Let's fill the people a little bit on how we met. I think we've known each other for about maybe 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, we've been knowing each other for a very long time, man. I've been cutting your hair. I was at this salon called Galen Rose Hair Salon where I started cutting downtown.
Yep.
Prior to that, I was cutting at another barbershop in the west side of Chicago. And I ended up moving from the suburbs, actually, which was Maywood, which goes into that whole situation with the last episode you had, being from the suburbs. But of course, I relocated due to Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
Okay.
So that's why I was displaced. I was brought to Chicago, and I stayed in Maywood, and that's a whole nother conversation right there.
Absolutely.
To me, it felt like an extension of Chicago, in my judgment. But it was a great experience. I learned a lot. I actually met Fred Hampton's son. Speaking of the actual movie that came out, I met his son and his mother. They was putting up like a monument of Fred Hampton in Maywood. That's when I met him.
Okay.
Met his son. So it was a great experience. But yeah, we met in Galen Rose Hair Salon. I had been cutting your hair for quite some time, and now I'm in Mainspace Hair Salon. So yeah, it's been a journey. But since I've been in Chicago, I've traveled to so many different countries and cities in the United States. I've come into contact with a lot of different artists, a lot of different people that have given me different information, and a lot to, give me more growth. And I've learned how to kind of shape my diet in the way that I do things with, rejuvenation of the body and just, getting into things that are more beneficial for growth.
Absolutely. We're going to get more into that. Now, Maurice, on every episode, we do something called actual factuals.
Okay.
And you're familiar with, the actual facts. So this is sort of a spinoff on that. So we try to do this to kind of frame the conversation because we're going to get a little deeper into this food conversation. So the first thing I wanted to do, Stu is a part of this as well. We try to define what is it that we're talking about, right? So I looked up the definition. We're talking about why do you refuse to eat right? I looked up the definition of food. And the definition that I liked the most was any nutritious substance that people or animals eat or drink or that plants absorb in order to maintain life and growth. All right. So I found that. I found a statistic that says 75% of the world's food is generated from only 12 plants and 5 animal species. I didn't know that. And then I went.
Wait, hold on. Don't skate over that. Let's really understand that.
75% of the world's food is generated from 12 plants and 5 animal species.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I never knew that. I never even thought about it in that context, dude.
There are millions of plant species out there. Well, I don't know if they're millions, but clearly it's thousands, right?
It's a lot.
Wow. Okay. Keep going. I know you got some more actual factuals, bro.
So the rest of this was more about, I looked up the common reasons why people say they don't eat right. Because Maurice, you and I have talked about this subject a million times when we were out hanging out or I was getting my hair cut or whatever. And, we used to go out. I know you and I used to go out and eat crawfish and shrimp and all this different stuff. We know that that's not necessarily the best thing. But as I was doing this show, I was thinking about why don't I eat right? And so I wanted to see what other people say. And here's some of the top reasons that people say they don't eat right. Number 1, they thought that they were eating right.
Dang.
You feel that one, Stu? They thought they were eating right. So it wasn't even a situation where they were.
I was doing it wrong, huh?
Yeah, they thought they were. Number 2 was they said that they don't know how to eat right, Maurice. They just don't know. Number 3, they said it costs too much.
Oh, to eat right?
Costs too much to eat right.
I heard that funeral costs a lot too.
Hey man, high blood pressure and diabetes cost quite a bit too.
Damn.
But people say it costs too much. They say it's too much work. It's too much work to eat right.
Damn.
That's what the people say. I'm too busy. I don't like vegetables. I'm going to die either way.
Hey.
I just don't care about eating right. And the last one I saw was, and this one was interesting, they said they don't want to be judged by other people for eating right.
The one I think I can identify with the most is I'm gonna die anyway. That's the one I'm probably. That sounds like something I would say. Oh shit, I'm gonna die anyway. Might as well. Might as well fade it up. etouffee, gumbo it up, crawfish it up.
Yeah, that's, I think that's a very dismissive way of approaching your diet. I think people don't really understand that your diet is really based on your medication. It's like when you're eating food, you're eating to get energy. You're not eating for a craving or an addiction. And that's one of the biggest things. People are addicted to these sugars. They're addicted to the starch. They're addicted to the white rice that's in the beans and rice. So they're addicted to a lot of things. And also, you have to just look at the social norms. People look for social acceptance from friends and family. So It's hard for them to make that adjustment. So if they can't make the adjustment, then that's where they come in with these responses. Oh, well, I'm gonna die anyway. It costs too much. Yeah, but those Jordans cost too much. And that Fendi bag you bought too much, and they'll go buy the Fendi bag and they'll go right to McDonald's. And you have to really ask yourself those type of questions. If you're buying something from one of these fast food restaurants, I'm only spending less than $5 on this meal. How is it beneficial to me overall? If I have to go to the store and buy something that's $10 and $15, if I'm buying vegetables or fruits or bottled waters, or actually it's more beneficial for you to buy water that's in glass containers or stainless steel. So it's a lot to really look at when you're trying to change a diet, or if you're saying that I can't do this because it costs too much. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But people really have to make an adjustment if they want to thrive and live long. And it's about you just having a better way of approaching how you want to preserve your body.
But that costs too much is a real one. That's a super real one. Like, it costs way more for that stainless steel bottle of water or that glass bottle of water than the 40 pack for $3 of bottled water. So you can't deny the economics that it is more expensive to cost of food. The food cost is more expensive when you're really focused on eating healthier. Do you share that same sentiment, or am I by myself on this?
Definitely. I think, there's certain areas where it's a food desert. So there's not a lot available. There's not a lot of resources. And that's unfortunate living in a first world country where you have all of these different things available. You have a lot of resources, but unfortunately they're not really, put into those areas where it's a food desert. So you haven't got to go outside of your way to really, preserve your life, your well-being. And it's hard. So it's just,
and what about
alternatives?
And what about this? Like, so I'm speaking for me a little personally. Like, I do believe I'm sure I've said a number of times in my life about things before I'm on this journey, I'm gonna die anyway. Like, so what are we eating? Are we eating, like, I understand the body is the temple, right? You're supposed to preserve and protect the body, right?
Correct.
But the truth is we are going to expire. And I've said a number of times, if I know I'm on my last few days, if the doctor say I can't have a Portillo's, if the doctor say I can't, I want it. If I know I'm about to go out, I give it to me. Why would you not let me enjoy the foods, the cravings, the sugars, if I know I'm about to go out, and if that's what I want, just give it to me?
I want to weigh in on that real quick. We have to be careful with that, and I'm constantly working on my diet. But sometimes, when we say, yeah, I'm gonna die anyway, but you might have a slow death, Big Stu. A person might have a slow death. So it's like, in one vein, we're like, yo, I want to build wealth and have all this stuff for my family. But if you die a slow death, you could drain out all your wealth from hospital bills and care that you have.
There you go. Come on.
You know what I mean, Maurice?
That's the part
like, I'm gonna just die. I'll just die. You might not just die. It might take you 15 years to actually die from all these diseases you got.
Right. Because that's why, for me, I took a different approach to my diet, because as a barber, you're self-employed, and a lot of people work for companies that they have the medical coverage. I don't. So I had to take that into consideration. Like, okay, if I eat this way, the way that my culture is here in New Orleans, then what is the outcome? after looking at everyone else that I've seen and family and friends actually suffer from diabetes and all these other, ailments. So I said, well, I need to approach this different because I have to pay premiums, in order to cover if anything happens to me, if I have a bad liver or a bad kidney, I have to take a different perspective on that. So, and that's what I did. I said, okay, well, what can I do for self-preservation? What can I do that'll help me actually get to the point to where I can cut hair to 60 or 70 if necessary? So I said, well, I need to change my diet. So I started looking into those things. I started looking into, different approaches, a more holistic approach than an allopathic approach. And I just continue to be optimistic about it. I didn't want to say, well, you know what, I'm gonna die anyway. Let me just go ahead and eat this pork chop sandwich, every so often, or, have these things where I really desire, which to me, I learned that was just a craving. It's an addiction. So I said, okay, let me try to take a different approach. And because I took that approach, I started to see my body start to flourish. I start to feel, have this energy and have a different feeling about myself. My face started clearing up. I start having these different results. And that's what really made me say, hey, this works. If I do this, I can feel so much better. And that's why I decided to do that.
Now, one thing, Maurice, I always respected about you when we would have these conversations is that you would always be clear about the fact that you don't always eat right.
Oh, because I was about to say, we up here about to sound hypocritical.
No, he never came off like that. He will tell you that I don't always eat right, and so we all have our lapses in judgment. But what I want to ask you about that, though, is when you have those lapses, is it just your inability at that moment to fight the cravings? Or you just like, yo, I'm gonna treat myself? What's going through your head?
Well, I get attacked at so many different angles because, when I go to gatherings and I'm the guy, in those times, because I no longer eat, like as a vegan, when I was being a vegan, I used to feel like an outcast. I said, man, I'm coming to these places to eat this food and I can't really accept any of this food because I have to ask them, hey, what's in that? And that kind of makes them, get kind of weary and like, hey, what do you?
What do you mean? What's in here? Food.
Yeah, right.
Food
So,
in here.
So for me, it was just like I'm not looking to be accepted, but I have to have some stronghold on my diet. But I start to distance myself from other people, and in the circle that I had, it just didn't work out for me. But I start to really dabble in, eating crawfish when I come home, and it's an emotional connection, because this is something I've been eating all my life. So it's kind of hard to get away from that. That's a part of your culture.
Right.
And for me, I couldn't get away from that. I said, hey, I love eating crawfish. I want me to get a pull boy. I had some crawfish recently, So there's no, I'm no angel. I'm still out here eating some good food in my judgment. I love it. It's a part of me.
How do you know? How do you know if the food is bad? Like crawfish. Come on, we talking crawfish. Like I love crawfish, right?
Right.
What makes crawfish bad? Or are we saying the excess of it, too much of it, eating it every day, all day? Well, nobody really does that. Well, maybe down there they do, but how is crawfish bad?
I mean, it's supposedly like a scavenger. It's kind of like catfish.
Catfish.
So it has different
shrimp.
It have different elements in it that can make it detrimental. Just like any meats that we eat or any poultry, those things are just. It's hard for your body really to digest it. When you look at, most of these meats, we actually cook these meats in order to digest them. We don't eat them raw. If you take a chunk out of a cow and eat it, our digestive tract cannot take that. Our intestines are a lot bigger, whereas animals have smaller digestive tracts, so it can pass through them quicker. So if we was to eat these things like you eat sushi, for example, you would have so much buildup in parasites in your system. I mean, you would totally just take yourself out. So crawfish, fish and crawfish, things like that, it passes through the system. It's not as tough and dense as certain meats that we eat. So, but still it can be detrimental, over time, just like any other food that you eat that's very toxic.
Yeah, and I think another good point about that, what I learned is, even if you don't know the science of why something is bad, all you have to do is pay attention to what it's doing to your body.
Damn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I still eat crazy stuff, but I know immediately I'm going to have a bad reaction.
Man.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Gyro.
Right.
Gyro, gyro, gyro. However you say it, I love them. But I know I'm going to pay.
Yeah. Now, how do you pay when you eat that? I'm curious. What happens to your body?
Oh, man. I just get sluggish. I get weighed down. I'm full. I don't want to move. You know what I mean? It tastes good though. It's good, but ain't nothing shaking after that, bro. Nothing's moving. Nothing's moving.
Yeah, no question. Now I want to talk about this. We got to talk about Dr. Sebi while we're on here. We got to talk about Dr. Afrika. But before we do that, Maurice, can you tell people, so when you eat the crawfish or you eat whatever it is, you might be drinking alcohol, whatever you're doing, how do you snap back? Because you've talked to me about this specifically many times. You'd be like, yo, I ate this, this, and this, and then I took so-and-so and so-and-so to get my balance back. Talk about that a little bit.
So I know that a lot of times knowing it gives you more strength to actually act on it. So for me, I said, well, what should I do or what can I do? So I created somewhat of a formula where I would work out. I would take, certain things that would clean my liver, like milk thistle. I would do a detox. There's different detoxes out there that you can take and then do a cleanser. And I would just keep a real strong mindset and try to eliminate, like kind of move away from a crowd that I'm eating these things. So I would kind of just try to really focus on what I need to do, because it's real hard to make a change for a lot of people. And I understood that. So I would work out. I would change my diet.
Is there any specific type of workout? Because I want to give people a system.
Okay.
Like in this conversation, I want them to walk away with, okay, I ate bad yesterday. What exactly can I do to try to restore some balance or health from that episode of this weekend when I ate all this trash?
Okay.
So you mentioned milk thistle. What else can they do? What's the process?
So the process is just really changing your settings, like the places you would normally go, like that you would hang out at, or try not to go to the bar. Try to find like an alternative beer. There's a lot of those out there. You can just look them up on the internet, or you can go to your local stores and get them. So I started to kind of wind myself off of these different drinks and different foods, and I would drink a lot of water. I would do a lot of teas like burdock root. I would do alfalfa.
What kind of water?
I would do like electrolyte water or alkaline water. You can find a lot of those in the store.
Okay.
So it's a lot of that, and mostly water. I would drink a lot of water. I know you would see people, even when you guys go to the gym, you'll see them with them big gallons of water, just drinking them and just flushing out. It's about really just flushing out and hydrating the body. I think that was one of my biggest things. And, I would have like light snacks, like a banana. I would do more of the nuts, like the, pecans and the cashews and things like that, to eliminate eating a snack like a Snickers or, these things that are high in sugar. So I would just kind of get to something that is just a little bit more beneficial. It's things like that would get more, I would get a better nutrition balance.
Now so you mentioned milk thistle.
Right.
Can you tell the people what milk thistle is and what the benefits of that is?
So milk thistle is a herb, and it actually cleans out the liver, and it helps build the cells back up in the liver. And you can find it. There's a good product called Nature's Way. They sell that in a lot of the herb stores. You can find like Whole Foods, but it's a very, very strong, cleanser. It's a herbal cleanser, and it's more so geared towards cleaning the liver, because they have so many different herbs that are geared towards cleaning particular organs. So there's different kidney, for your kidneys. You have for the pancreas. There's different herbs. So when you're taking that into your system, when you're digesting that in your small intestines, it's taking that in, it's going directly to that particular organ to be beneficial and kind of rejuvenating, reproducing, and revitalizing that area.
Right.
Or that organ.
Okay. And then another thing you had put me on too that I took your advice on is getting, and I want to ask Stu if he's ever had this done, a colonic. I mean, not a colonic. What's that procedure?
Colonoscopy.
It's a colonic. It's
colonic. Okay.
It's a colonic.
Yeah, colonic. So I actually did that. I don't know if I told you, but I had that process done. And when the lady was doing a procedure for me, Maurice, she basically told me that at that time I was dehydrated. Because as you know, the way some of them do it, you can see the things coming out of your body in a little tube. And so there was a lot of built up excrement in my body, but it was real dry. And I could see it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I'm bringing this up is I want to make sure that people, I didn't want this to be a conversation where we're like, yo, you should do this and you should do that. We know that people are going to do certain things, but I want to focus more on what can you do once you've done these things until you get to a better place.
Look,
and that's why I appreciated you telling me about the colonic, because it was able to clean me out.
This is why you the Scottie Pippen of podcast pimping. This is why right here. Because you always, and this is why I like watching, because, I actually watch our show. I actually watch it. Believe it or not, some men think that's egotistical, but I watch it like, why you watch my lady, why you watch it? Because it's good. This is a good show. And I want to see it. You know what I mean? Right? But you always manage, bro, to bring out the parts of the question that honestly I had never considered. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's not just, hey, this is what you should do, but here's how this topic can help me where I am right now.
Right.
Now, I love the fact that you do that, bro. I love the fact.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I just try to be practical. I mean, we have enough people telling us what we don't do. And honestly, people like Maurice, he's a person that's been his approach in talking to me about different things. He never tried to act like he was something he wasn't.
Yeah.
He tried to act like he never. We've been out places eating crazy stuff at times. So it was like, we know each other. So he always had a solution, though. It's like you drank the whiskey and all of that. Okay, this is what you can do to feel better.
Man, bro. And that's going to help. Now, even for me, as a guy who is like eating a plate of starch right now, I'm having brunch. It's Valentine's Day. I'm not thinking about eating right? I'm thinking about bliss, right? I got a cocktail, eating starch, and then that's why I can dismiss in my mind. I'm telling you my truth, right? Stu's moment of disclosure, right? Just like, that's why I can justify. It's like, well, ain't no, but I do want to eat better. I do want to work out. I do want to have a better body. So this conversation about like milk thistle or the importance of having that gallon of water. Them people not crazy. Like, no, like this is what you could do right now until, like you just said, until you get to a better place about really eating better. You don't just have to eat it and let it dehydrate you. Right. You eat it and hydrate and flush, or take this milk thistle afterwards. Do a detox. Take the detox teas, or that's the heavy hitting stuff right there.
No doubt. And another thing that I want to bring up that I do is I'm not going to sit there and probably have meals and meals of plant-based food as I know I should. But what I will do, which is easier, sometimes it's easier to just make a shake.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Just put it all in there at one time, get some almond milk or some spring water, blend it up, and drink that.
Right. That's
so
awesome.
You had one meal out of the day that was
that's
right.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. I think Mo had some. Let's see if he's coming back. I think Mo had some. I think his phone may have died, bro.
Oh, okay, I'm sure
his phone may have died.
Yeah, we're gonna talk back him. But yeah, man, I feel you. I think it's interesting, Stu, because it's like I feel like at this point in my life, I know in theory how to eat right.
Yeah, in theory.
But we'll be like, I want to eat right and I want to eat in shape. You don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy for us to say that, but we don't really want it because anything else in our life that we really want, we do it.
Man, listen. You right.
I'm
Damn,
talking
I hated men you right. I hated men you right. Damn, you right, man.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one of those things, Stu, it's easy for us to be like, you know, man, I know you're a strong guy. You know, if you wanted to eat right, you would. If I wanted to eat right, I would.
Damn. It's a choice. It's a choice. So even in this, like, stop bullshitting yourself, right? It's a choice. Stop bullshitting yourself. Don't come around talking about how you want to get and you want to eat. Not at this stage in the game. Not at this. Come on, Gen Xer.
Come on, Gen Xer.
Come on, Gen Xer. Yeah, man.
You know, because then you could get to a better place. You're like, man, I really don't want to eat right. Why is that? Why don't I want to?
Why don't we?
I ask myself, why not? Why don't I want to? You want to know what the answer is for me? Real simple. Don't have the discipline.
Damn, you hit them hard today, E, on the season finale.
Don't have the discipline.
You don't have the discipline.
Not in this area. Maurice just hit me and said, I think he's trying to get back on.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I don't have that discipline in this area of my life yet. You know why? Because I haven't pushed myself hard enough.
Now this, okay, so I appreciate you being transparent. I don't have the discipline to do it by myself, like, right, consistently. I love an accountability partner. I really do.
That helps.
If I had a partner and we pushing, because I like being pushed. I like being pushed. Man. Yeah. It's the words of encouragement. That helps. That those motivations help me. You know, now actually that may have been a real true overshare right there. I may have to edit that out because that's a truth though, man. It's like George is back.
Oh, he's back.
There he is. We understand. We kept it going, man. Look, let's back up for a second because I can take some of the heat off of me right now. He shared some powerful information in the while you took a quick break.
Okay.
He shared some powerful information. I'm gonna try to get it right. Clean me up where I mess up, okay? So we were talking about not eating right, not why we refuse to eat right. And one of the things it says, like, look, if we wanted to eat right, you would. So stop bullshitting yourself first. If you really wanted to eat right, you would, but you don't want to eat right. And it's like, why? So we agree. First of all, you don't eat right because you don't want to.
Exactly.
The second reason, why don't you want to? And Eric shared, so he said the first, for him, he said he doesn't have the discipline to eat right.
Not at this current time.
He has the discipline for his finances. He has the discipline for his business, as a father. He has the discipline as a man. He has discipline as a lover. But eating right, he doesn't share the same level of discipline.
That's right.
And then I said, and then we're gonna come to you. Like I said, I desire to be pushed. I need an accountability partner.
Which is that's a real comment. I like that. I mean, that's a strategy.
That's a strategy.
Yeah.
So Mo, why do you refuse to eat right?
It's like I was saying before, it's just that connection to my city.
Oh, so it's emotional. It's emotional for Mo.
It's emotional because the way that I exited my city in the time.
Wow, that's deep.
Ooh, that's heavy.
Yeah, in 2005. Yeah, in 2005.
You were snatched away from it. Oh.
Yeah, I was snatched away from it. And I came, I got to Chicago and I was eating the food there. It just wasn't moving me. I went to a fast food restaurant and had a sandwich there, and it wasn't as similar to the sandwich in New Orleans. And I was like, this is kind of different. It's kind of bland taste. And I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. So that was one thing that probably really catapulted me into like saying, you know what, I'm going to change my diet. Let me take a different approach to this. So it was a lot of outside factors, but that was what kind of gravitated, to me. I was like, oh, I need to get back home. I need to, eat some some fried chicken, and all these people approach me like, how is the food in New Orleans? Is the fried chicken the same? So that for me, I was like, let me try to figure this out, but I really wanted to eat some fried chicken at that point. I wanted some crawfish. I wanted to get back to my culture because the way I was stripped away, I was taken away.
I've traveled to every major tier 1 and tier 2 city in the States. I think I've hit every major tier 1, tier 2, and I can argue tier 3 city. Haven't been everywhere. There's no better place in America that I've visited to me that has better food than New Orleans. Then let me correct. Then Louisiana, the state.
Yeah, because you went to school out there, right?
Yeah, me and Mo talked it over. I'm sorry for chop. I have a habit of chopping people's names, man. But Maurice and I talked about it, man. We had a conversation about Baton Rouge and just how many times I crossed that Pontchartrain Bridge to get into the lower ninth, man. Getting to New Orleans. The Mardi Gras, many a Mardi Gras. Four. I did 4 Mardi Gras. I did 4 Mardi Gras tours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great down there, man.
Yeah, it's really like no other. It's just the culture, and it's hard to resist. Once your first time, you go there, you just like, man, it's some good food. I brought so many people down there, and I'll tell them like, hey, I can bring you to a gas station. You can eat the food that, and
that's
and
right.
It tastes better than most foods that you eat in restaurants.
And have done that. They
wouldn't believe me, and I bring them there, and it's like, I don't know if I can eat the. I say, look, let's make a bet. If this doesn't taste as good, then hey, this is what it is.
It's a real
they'll eat it, and then they'll be like, man, hey, what's the name of that place again? Hey, let's stop there before we get to the airport.
Chevron. It was Chevron.
Brother, Danny and Clyde's. There's different restaurants out there. You'll be surprised. Well, different gas stations that serve food, and you'll be surprised. Like, man, it's better than chicken I've had in places and fast food restaurants in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I put that to the test.
Let me let the people know where we are real quick. You are rocking with the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. Big Stu, this is the season finale, episode number 7.
Yeah. This is us.
Sure.
Crowd goes crazy. Episode 7, man. We here. This is a great conversation.
Yeah,
great conversation.
We're going to get a little deeper into this now. So we've established that we all, we try to eat right. Maurice probably eats better than Stu and I on a daily basis. I'm pretty confident about that.
Wow.
Me and Stu are still playing this game of we're saying we want to eat right, but it's really a game.
We ain't made the commitment.
But we can get there. We feel like we can get there. I want to go back, Maurice. I want to talk about, and this is the psychology part again. So I got introduced to Dr. Sebi. I think you're the one who introduced me to him, to be honest. And so I started watching a lot of his videos. Are you familiar with Dr. Sebi, Big Stu?
Yes, I am.
Not surprised. So you're familiar. Now, once I did the knowledge to Dr. Sebi, personally, I was extremely clear on how I should be eating. There's no, I can't sit here and say I don't have the knowledge of how to eat, right? Because he made it very clear. But my question to Maurice is, for those who have examined Dr. Sebi or people like him, why do you feel like after hearing that type of information, people still sort of act like they don't understand how to eat right? Or not, I don't want to use the word understand. Why do people still act like they don't know how to eat right?
I would say more than anything is the fear to change, the fear to face reality. I think I was watching a movie. I think it was The Day the Earth Stood Still. There was a scientist that said, he was talking to it was like a science fiction movie, but his words were, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but he said, it's only in the time of need that people decide to change, or time of a crisis that people decide to change.
Right.
So it's more so when people, and I mean, just looking at my situation, I was forced out of my city. So I was brought to a place, but I didn't have any control over that. So I couldn't say, hey, I want to go back to New Orleans. I mean, because I could have, but technically you could not go back, in 2005 because, the government had pretty much blockaded and barricaded the whole city. You could not go back unless you were working. So you're forced into these situations, and it's real hard to try to make a change when you have that addiction and think you don't really know how to approach it, or you just don't have the drive. You're not optimistic about it, and you're just put in a place where like it's too much work to make that change. Well, I'm satisfied with this, these donuts and the hot sausage sandwiches that they have here, or all these different type of foods. It's hard to make that change. The sugar addiction is just too much.
That's my biggest addiction.
Sugar. It's all of our biggest addiction.
Killing.
I mean, look at the holiday. What is today? It's Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, man.
This holiday encompasses sugar. So and you're talking about on a psychological level. We're talking about terms that you use. Oh, she's a sweetheart.
Damn.
Damn. You got to look at these certain things. Oh, he's so sweet.
Damn.
You got to look on this on a psychological level, and you look at just the subliminals. So all the stuff plays a factor on how you react to these sugars and how they kind of embedded in your brain for you to think about this. Oh, how you doing, honey? Hey, honey. You're looking at all these things are connected to sugar. So it's a real addiction.
Sugar, so everything is sweet is good.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up and use toothpaste that has sugar in it.
Damn.
Wow. You use the mouthwash that has sugar in it.
Damn.
Then you take on the biscuit and the this meats that have sugar on it. And then after that you drink the orange juice or
can we sue them people, man, for this addiction? Who do we sue? Who do we talk to? Who do we
for the sugar addiction?
For the
right. And then you put gum in your mouth. Then you're taking chewing on gum, so your breath won't stink from eating the meat that decays in your mouth. Right. It's hard, but you have to find ways to just brush your teeth, floss. You still can enjoy these things, but just to know that this is going on, you want to have that knowledge of it, and be able to acknowledge it.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I want to get to this too from you, so if you were to think about what were the biggest takeaways that you got from Dr. Sebi specifically?
Well, when I was studying Dr. Sebi, I noticed that he has an alkaline-based diet. And, you look at...
What is that? Tell the people what that means, an alkaline-based diet.
Well, when you're dealing with an alkaline-based diet, you're dealing with the potential hydrogen in the body. So that deals with, how you're hydrated. Just like you were explaining that when you got the colonoscopy, the lady that was servicing you told you that you were dehydrated. So when you're dealing with potential hydrogen, you are the pH. So you have alkaline and you have acid. So most drinks that you drink, like 7-Up, Coca-Cola, or even these Powerades, they are more so like acidic, or your starches that you're taking, it's all acidic. So an alkaline diet is more so, water-based, or, dealing with vegetables and fruits that are more, potential hydrogen, like okra, or you taking the plum tomatoes. These are things that Dr. Sebi prescribed. So, like the plum tomatoes, the okra, you do the chickpea. Well, I said garbanzo beans and things like that. They're more alkaline based, so it hydrates your body instead of makes your body more acidic. That's where the sluggishness comes from, and not having a lot of oxygen.
Right.
So that's what the alkaline diet is based in. That's what he focused on primarily when you're talking about Dr. Sebi.
True indeed. And he made it very clear that if your body is in an acidic state, then that's where the disease will begin to creep in.
Exactly.
Now, I want to let people know out there, I got a friend in New York, out in Brooklyn, and he made this born to me. He told me, he said there's strips that you can get to test the acidity in your body. Because somebody might be like, well, man, I don't know if my body's in an acidic state or not. So there are strips that you can get that you can urinate on, and in a few minutes, you'll be able to tell from the color. They give you a color code. You'll be able to tell where you are in the spectrum of acidity in your body. So I would encourage everybody out there, try to go to a health food store. You might have to order these strips online, but try to find out where you are in the acidity spectrum. Have either one of you ever done that?
Not since I remember doing that as a kid, you know, at a doctor's office once, testing pH, not pH, but acidity. Yeah, I remember that as a science experiment in middle school or something.
Yeah.
High school or something.
Yeah.
But I've never really done that. No.
Maurice, have you done that?
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. I used there's this product, I can't think of the name of it, but I would actually test out different waters, the different water products, these waters like, you know, Fiji and
the Sani.
Yeah, the Sani and Ice Mountain in Chicago, you know, it's popular. And it would tell me the level of pH. You know, it was like I just put like a droplet in the, you know, a little small amount of water in there. I would determine, you know, all of these different, you know, brands that actually sell the water, these companies that sell the water. So I've done that. But I can't necessarily say that because of my knowledge of knowing what's acidic in my judgment, what's more acidic and what's not. And studying Dr. Sebi and Dr. Llaila Afrika.
Eric, I know you. Go ahead, because I have a couple of questions. I'll save mine to the end. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, so Mo, like, how do you rate yourself on the scale of like health, fitness, you know, addicted to it, or if you will, just like how on the scale of 1 to 10, you know, 10 being the most focused on health and fitness, where do you fall on that line? How do you rate yourself?
I would rate myself like a 6 or 7, honestly.
Okay.
I believe.
Do you like say you're relatively healthy though, right?
I'm pretty healthy.
Okay.
I'm pretty healthy, yeah.
But you're about 6 or 7 as far as like how hard you go on this. But this is just what you do.
Right. Yeah, in my perspective, I think that if I was eating raw greens, you know, raw vegetables and raw fruits, then I probably would be at my best.
No doubt.
But you know, we talking some real intense diet. You know, that's intense. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I can't do that. But
why not? Why not? Because that is the ultimate, like that's the ultimate goal, right? So what is it that if we're talking this, because man, this is moving. This conversation is moving me. And you two are moving me. I'm a 2. I'm a 1. I'm a 1.
Yeah, but you got to consider a lot of aspects of life because if you're willing to create, you have a family. You know, I'm somewhat trying to get to that point where you guys are. You know, so you have to find somebody amazing.
Wait, you're not a Gen Xer? You're not a Gen Xer?
Yeah, you're a Gen Xer.
Yeah,
you young. You skew towards the newer portion of Gen X, or you the older side of Gen X?
I'm talking about diet wise. You was
diet wise. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about all that.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to. Okay, all right, stick with me. I'm trying to. Okay, on the diet side,
I'm talking about the diet side. You know, so for me, I could be because you wanna have a mate or you want to be in a circle of people that actually eat like that to maintain that diet. Because you get around the wrong people, you know, it depends on how you feel about yourself and how, you know, these people affect your decision making. You know, because you have a circle of friends, and a good friend of mine told me you are the 5 people you hang around. So you have to kind of put yourself around the right people in order to maintain it. Because, you know, just like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. That's still in effect when you, as an adult, you're still learning. So you have to find the right people, because for me to say, okay, well, I'm gonna eat a raw diet and I'm gonna not engage in going to watch sports or going out and have a drink, you know, I'm eliminating myself from the world, that type of world. So now I have to change a lot. I have to make these different changes to start bringing myself into something that I'm really looking to obtain, you know. So you really have to work hard at this, you know.
Yeah. Eric, you said it the most.
Yeah, you just sparked something that I want to ask you about now. I am a little surprised at you saying, Maurice, and I appreciate the candor that you don't feel like you could eat a raw diet.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought you were probably doing that, but and I'm not saying this in any kind of judgmental way because I'm not there at all. But what I want to ask you is like you made this comment that I want to focus on for the people. So you were saying that if you did do that, you would probably have to remove yourself from society in a sense because you go around people and they're expecting you to do what they're doing pretty much. Do you think? Well, let me ask you this quick question. Do you think people should test themselves for a period of time where they actually go ahead and eat raw and still go around the people?
E come through with the questions.
Wow. I definitely think that that's something that people should challenge themselves to do. And I would say for me as an individual, I could eat a raw diet. I can eat a raw diet, but I'm speaking in general as far as like when people get around other people. I've had an experience maybe a few years ago, and I co-host a football meetup, for the New Orleans Saints Chicago chapter. And, shout out to Angela Boyle and Ashton Hall. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. Ashton Hall. So we've had an environment where there's New Orleans style food and all this different stuff. And honestly, I went a whole year without drinking or eating any of that food at that place.
I remember that now. I actually remember that period.
Right. Wow.
So I've experienced all of these different things. I think it's just certain things that triggered me to go back into that, even into that habit. It's certain things. And one of my experiences was when I was in Belize. So I actually traveled to that country. I was in Belize City, and most of the food that they had there had so much pork in it and all these different things I couldn't eat. And I was real hungry at the time. So, just like that, I grabbed the Snickers, and man, as soon as I bit into that Snickers bar, it was just like drugs in or something, man. I just got hyper. My body changes like within a minute. I can feel it. It's like it went into my bloodstream, and I just started feeling real different. And then I was like, man, I'm starting to, let me try to get some of this chicken or something. Just thought everything changed after that.
And they had some good chicken in Belize too.
Oh yeah. It was delicious. It was delicious. Yeah. And it's go ahead.
No. I was gonna say I think part of the answer is recognizing this major addiction that many of us suffer from, and being honest about that. Like attempting to break, like it is an addiction. Like we could focus on that word for a little bit. Like the addictions that we have to the sugars and the starches is very real. You can't even act like it's not. And trying to break that cold turkey or walk away from it for the rest of our days may be a little insurmountable in theory for me. So I can go down the path and recognize that I might slip, and then I need to drink some milk. What's that?
Thistle.
I need to detox. If I want to go home and eat a slice of Giordano's, then okay, that's 2 thistles, 1 detox, and 45 minutes on the. You know what I mean? Like,
and a bunch
of water, and don't do this again for 3 months, 6 months. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But see, the thing that I like about this conversation is really opening my mindset up is it's something underneath that addiction, though, Stu. When we get into the emotional part, Maurice was talking about how the food was tied to his culture and how he grew up. And we're in the same boat. The food is tied to your experiences with other people. Because people will act funny when you say you don't eat something. I remember, and I love my grandma to death. She held me down many, many a time, but she would purposely put little pieces of pork in my food just to kind of mess with me and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Messed up, bro.
Yeah. She'd be like, you don't eat pork, do you? And I'd be like, nah, Grandma, I don't eat pork. Like, you just ate some pork. I had something in it. You know what I mean? And it was funny. Everybody.
Bill Cosby is in jail for shit like that, man.
Yeah, man. My grandma was very loving.
Oh, man.
They just thought it was a joke. That a person would pork. That was
you know what I mean?
So I think that stuff does affect you. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty strong person. Now, here's another area that I struggle with. I have certain friends whose houses I'll go to, and I always will say to myself, man, I'm not going to drink when I get over here.
Damn.
Right.
But then as soon as I walk in the door and they be like, yo, you want to drink?
You be like, cheers.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, you ain't even try. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right.
I don't want to be that dude where it's like, man, you acting, you're going to pick the day to act, don't drink and all that. And I've said that to people, like my brother, like, oh, you don't drink now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's crazy. You don't drink. How you don't drink? You know what I mean? He might just not want to drink right that second.
Putting the pressure on him.
Exactly.
Pressure on him.
So I think that is the underlying reasons why we have these addictions. You know what I'm saying?
It's not normalized, man. It's not normalized, man.
Yeah, man. And I think Maurice made a great point about putting yourself around the right people, at least for a period of time until you get strong.
Right.
And
that's all I was explaining, just the balance. You want to find some balance. I learned from Dr. Afrika. That's one of the most important things I learned from Dr. Afrika is, you're not going to immediately take on these things and just follow through. It's going to take some time, but it's about the journey and not the destination. So for me, I learned from him that, when you're taking a lot of these supplements, you have to take into consideration that you're sick.
Okay.
That you're really sick. So people may look at these instructions and say, oh, 2 tablets once a day. You actually got to double up on them. You got to, 4 tablets or 6 tablets a day because you're sick. You're eating a diet that's very detrimental. So you have to double up on it.
Right.
And that's something that can really change the outcome of your diet. And if you want to eat these things, if you want some pizza or something, eat it. But you got to, take your supplements, get that balance in so it could, neutralize itself.
Stu,
that way you won't be doing so much.
Stu, how are we looking on time?
We're looking really, really good.
Because I got to get into. We got a decent amount of time.
We do. We have about 20 some odd minutes, man. We got about 20 some odd.
Maurice, I gotta have you do this on the show, brother. And thank you again for coming on and sharing this with the people. But I want you to get into more supplements, herbs specifically that people can use to detox themselves and to get their body back to balance.
Well, there's a lot of different supplements I could recommend that more primarily I would say Nature's Way. They have a lot of different detox, like liver detox. Like I was saying earlier, there's alfalfa, there's comfrey, there's all these different herbs that you can look up. There's also, a lot. I would reference Dr. Llaila Afrika's book, African Holistic Health. I mean, it's a great book. It's recommended by Dick Gregory. It's a very, very good book, and it gives you different herbs along with the foods you need to eat and the supplements. So it gives you herbs, supplements, and the food. Like for example, people tell me about hair growth all the time, and I say, well, there's a lot of different vitamins that you can take. You definitely need sunlight. You definitely can eat certain foods like strawberries, asparagus, cabbage. Those things are real good. And there's also, if you're talking about the supplements, there's biotin. Biotin is a pretty good product. Yeah. Selenium, that's pretty good for hair growth. These things are definitely help your hair growth. But you do have to make sure that you, like I was saying, depending on your diet, you may have to double up, or you have to take a double dosage, and make sure that you drink your water. Make sure that you're drinking electrolyte water, alkaline water, so your body can absorb these herbs. Because if you're not, most of these things are just gonna dilute the supplements or dilute the food.
Okay.
So that's something that they can definitely look into.
Now, most of our people have high blood pressure and diabetes or pre-diabetes specifically. Are there any herbs that you would recommend for people who have hypertension?
So hypertension, I would say hypertension, that's just from the actual sugars that they're taking in. So I would just say to try to reduce the sugars, drink more water. You probably can do, there's like different juices like prune juice. And that's kind of hard for people to drink too. You know, they definitely want to take prune juice, but you know,
and hold on, wait. So, you know, I think we got to preface some of this conversation because you'll have some people out here buying all this stuff tomorrow,
right?
Juice and
that's what I'm
detox
saying.
and they'd be messing up. So like,
yeah.
So what can people? You know, people should be. First of all, you should be consulting a doctor, right? At some point. First of all, a professional, right?
To a point.
Figure out what's going on with your body first. Figure out what's
because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to get into eating specific foods. Really, they rarely, from what I see, get into that. They just want to treat. They want to put a Band-Aid over whatever the issue is with some medication, typically like synthetic medication.
Okay.
Exactly. They want to suppress the disease in your system. They don't want to alleviate it.
Right.
So I'll give an example. I went to the eye doctor because, as you can see, I have glasses on, as well as Stu. So I went to the eye doctor, and he told me, you know, I was saying, hey, look, I got this yellowness around my eyes. You know, what is that? What does that come from? He said, you know what? Hey, that's hereditary. You know, you just, you know, you have that because your mother, her father, and et cetera, et cetera. So I said, okay, well, what do I do about it? He says, really nothing that there's not anything that you could do about it. And then I came in contact with Dr. Llaila Afrika, and I asked him the same thing. And I said, well, what is this? He said, well, you know, you've been drinking a lot of alcohols, a lot of smoking, and you need to take, he said, you need to take Eye Bright by Nature's Way.
Eye Bright.
And I said, okay, well, I said, is that effective? He was like, try it out and you'll see. You know, 2 weeks, make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're taking in some vegetables to help absorb it. And in 2 weeks, my eyes cleared up. So,
wow.
From my experience, that's what really did it for me. I said, you know what? This guy, he knows what he's talking about. I've had that going on since I was a kid. You know, since I was a teenager, I would look at my eyes and, man, why are my eyes like this? You know, I wasn't smoking, no herb or nothing, anything to make my, you know, I'm like, why is it like that? You know, so I agree with Eric. They're not gonna give you all of the information you need to actually see some results.
Yeah. I think they're good to go get your metrics, right? What's your blood pressure? What's your blood sugar and all that stuff?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Okay. So, go ahead, Stu.
No, go ahead. You got it because I think you already driving. You in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get to this. We kind of round home base here. So you've given people a lot to think about psychologically. You've kind of brought to the surface why a lot of us refuse to eat right in certain situations or just in general. But and you've given people a little bit of systems on how to get yourself back in order if you're eating these things or drinking these things. I want to get to two things. These are the two final things I want to talk to you about. One, could you tell people a little more about who Dr. Llaila Afrika is? And two, I want to talk to you about your experiences traveling the world and the types of things that you ate in these countries.
Okay.
So Dr. Afrika, who is Dr. Afrika for the people?
So Dr. Afrika is like a world-renowned holistic doctor. He travels the world and gives people insight on how they can change their diets that'll be more beneficial to more Afrocentric people as well as people of other ethnicities. He did it for a very long time, and he really emphasizes on more of an Eastern-based like diet instead of a Westernized diet, and he emphasizes on eating fruits and vegetables and not taking in a lot of meats. You know, he was saying that, you know, what he would teach me that you're not supposed to eat any meats at all. You know, your body produces the protein that you need necessary, you know, for energy and, you know, just to kind of have, you know, this energy in your everyday life. It's very, it was very informative for me. And he had classes. He was doing classes around America, around the world. And, you know, anybody can take the classes where they can also become a, you know, somewhat of a holistic doctor or someone that can give insight on, you know, changing their diet and what they need to do to change their diet.
Okay.
So you can take his classes and get certified. Wow. And speaking of what you were talking about with the strips, he teaches how to actually be able to evaluate what issues you have with each and every individual organ. He has a lot of different books that you can read that give you more elaborate breakdown of what each organ hides centered in your face, on your hands, your legs. It gives you, the whole breakdown.
Okay.
So it's but he's a very known doctor. It's just he's not like as big as Dr. Sabier, of course. Because Dr. Sabier actually did something a little bit different when he was attacking, the whole AIDS situation, and he really was very controversial. And I think that both are, but they're very effective. But they're not going to be brought to mainstream like most doctors are, because they have a naturopathic, a holistic approach rather than a allopathic approach to medicine.
Yeah. I never knew you could get certified to
he was. Yeah, so there's a lot of different schools that you can, I can't say offhand, but there's a lot of different holistic schools that should be certified as a holistic doctor. Yeah,
Stu, we should get certified, man.
You gotta Google. What's that?
Google. You gotta
Google it. Let's go.
Google's a filthy rock.
That's the running phrase right now. Google. You just gotta Google it, man.
It's funny. We can Google something about where to get something to drink later on, but we can't Google that.
Wow.
Right.
Crazy.
Right.
All right. Let's jump into this real quick as we round home based on this convo. Let's talk to me about some of these countries you've been to and what you were eating there.
Well, I mean, I think the most interesting was Cairo, Egypt.
Okay.
So when I traveled to Egypt, when I got there, I mean, it was just a different world. It opened my eyes. They definitely didn't, it's more Islamic type of environment.
Right.
So they didn't have any pork. They eat a lot of goat, curry, and they didn't have any alcohol there. So you're not gonna be partaking in any alcohol.
Wow, that would be tough.
So
okay.
That was a life changer. I think
I'm sorry, were you doing a hotel or were you doing a village stays? Like you saying no alcohol in the hotels and stuff like that, or what?
Well, I believe if you wanted to go to if you wanted to get alcohol, you probably would have to stay at a more so American hotel.
Okay, but if you
possibly would have that, but I was in college.
Okay.
So I stayed in a hostel. That's
okay. Yeah. I used to stay in those. Yep.
Yeah. So I stayed in a hostel, and I mean it was a real cheap experience. The ticket to fly to Egypt actually was the most expensive thing to make that transition. I probably paid close to $1,000 for the ticket. But I mean the food and everything else was real cheap. But there was a lot of different pastries. There was a lot of fish that I ate. I went on a Nile River tour, and that's why I actually found out that there was no alcohol. I said, hey, do y'all have any Hennessy or something? Something to drink. It's like, no, we don't have that here. I was like, really? It's like, no, we don't do that. We don't have that here. They didn't even have traffic lights there. That was very interesting. So it was a very interesting experience.
Wow.
Were you upset when they said they didn't have the Henny?
Man. Yes. I was like,
what?
I said, y'all don't have anything? I was. It kind
of no Islamic wines, no. Wow.
They didn't have any of that. Man. That was a life-changing experience for me.
Damn, how long were you there?
I was like, man, so imagine that, growing up in that environment, like you not even drinking any alcohol. So that just brings more perspective to the conversation.
No doubt.
If they don't have these things, where you don't need any discipline because it's not there.
They don't have it. Yeah, no question. No doubt.
So you don't have to worry about certain foods and drink and it's a different world.
Now I know both of us went to Colombia, the country of Colombia. I think you went to Cartagena. And I went to Colombia. I went to
was it
I can't remember.
It's north. It's it's actually south.
Oh, I went to Medellin.
Medellin, right?
Yeah, I went over there. And I'm trying to think, what did I eat over there? But do you remember what you ate in Colombia, in Cartagena?
Well, I had some swordfish. It's close to to the ocean, so they had a lot of different fish. I had cantaloupe juice. I never had that before. I didn't even know that existed.
Cantaloupe juice, okay.
Cantaloupe juice. I just had a lot of fish. They had some real good grapes. I was eating pretty good then. I didn't actually get into too much, any other beefs and pork, because I haven't had that stuff since 2005.
Right.
So that was, I was just more so into like eating the fish and, having the juices and, drinking water. I had a couple of, the local, well, more so the alcohol, like the beers and things like that. I was, I had my little drink here and there. Yeah. It wasn't like Egypt, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it was quite nice.
What about Tokyo? You went to Tokyo, right?
When I went to South Korea.
Oh yeah, that's right. You went to I went to Tokyo. You went to South Korea. Now, what did you? I definitely want to know what you ate in South Korea.
Oh man, I had some chicken, man. I got to that chicken.
Yeah, but
because there's a restaurant in I used to stay in Edgewater in Chicago, and there's a Korean restaurant that I had some food there, and I was like, man, this is real good. So of course, when I got to Korea, I said, well, let's see how this tastes. Is it similar? And hey, it was man, just about the same.
No doubt.
But one thing I can say is that they had a variety. When I went into the restaurant and actually sat down, they had a variety of fruits and vegetables that you could choose from. And I didn't understand. I was like, how can someone eat all of these different vegetables? And, well, actually, it was just vegetables. I wouldn't say fruit. But there was a lot of different vegetables that were available if you're eating this one particular meal that's, meat-based. And you're taking in all these different, vegetables. And you do these, they have water. They don't really promote a lot of alcohol and things like that, but it was a lot to experience at that time.
No doubt. And when I was in Tokyo, one of the best restaurants that I went to was a Korean restaurant in Tokyo. No, in Bangkok, in Thailand. Some of the banging chicken over there. Korean spot. So yeah, I can only imagine how it was in Korea.
I haven't been to Asia yet. I'll be heading to Southeast Asia. I'll be heading to Myanmar in the near future. Burma in the near future. Southeast Asia. I've never been to Asia though.
Yeah, interesting place. Man, what a conversation. Well, we're gonna have to wrap, Maurice. I really appreciate you coming on. But before you go, I want to ask you, do you have any thoughts that you want to leave the listeners with about this whole concept that we've been talking about refusing to eat right?
I would just say you control your own destiny. You really have to know what you want in life and have a formula. You come to put together something and form something that you feel is legit. Stick with it. You can always refine it and try to add, some different adjustments to it to make it even a stronger bond. So I would say you control your own destiny, and you're a human being you're a spiritual being having a human experience.
No doubt.
And control your own destiny. If you want to make a change, it really depends on how you decide to take that step.
Great, wise words. And brother, before you go, man, look at my hair.
Uh-oh.
I need that haircut.
Uh-oh.
That haircut.
Look him up.
Hey, man.
I started trying to fade my hair out again. It's looking crazy, man. I need you.
Man. Hey, man.
And thanks for
being
being
where I'm at, man. Main Street Hair Salon, downtown Chicago. You could find us on Instagram, Facebook. You could look up me on Style Seat, Maurice George, /styleseat.com.
Nice.
Master Barber. Barber.
We here, man. We here.
No doubt.
Yeah, man.
When you come
14 years.
I got to come see you when you get back in town. But anybody out there, if you're in Chicago, if you need a fly haircut, this man has been keeping me looking good for years.
Wow.
Years.
Wow.
So please, Maurice George.
Thank you, brother.
Maurice George, man. Shout out to Eric and Big Q for having me here, man. Shout out to my cousin Damien for letting me, set up here in New Orleans, man. I'm about to go eat some crawfish and go, live it up.
Now, enjoy.
Shout out to Phoenix Lampley, I just, send out some shout outs. So yeah, man, I appreciate the time. I hope that y'all got something from that,
No doubt.
that can help you on your voyage throughout life.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Sir.
So it's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, no doubt, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right.
Peace.
Man, what an interesting conversation, Steve.
That was great.
Interesting.
That was great. Great pick, man. Great pick, man. Picking the homie, man. Mo George, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I think my mindset may have opened up a little bit.
You know some dope people, E.
Man, I know some dope Gen Xers.
Wow.
I know plenty of them. We just getting started, man. I know you do too, because you brought some great people on this season, and I'm looking forward to just continuing to celebrate other Gen Xers.
I'm excited, brother.
No question.
I'm excited, brother. This is great. Thank you for allowing me to shotgun this thing with you, man.
Rasheed Wallace.
Man.
Yeah, man, it's been a nice run we've had. When we started doing this, I didn't know that this was going to have a global reach. Had the foresight to make sure that we had an audio version of the show.
Yeah,
and that's what took us to that global audience, and I got to thank you for that, man. You had that understanding from the very beginning.
Yeah, well, I'll take it in perpetuity, man. I appreciate it, man.
No doubt. You got it. So we're gonna go into our. We got to do our characters from corporate real quick. We got our characters from corporate this week.
We have a comment. We're gonna hit that comment real quick. We had a comment.
Oh, we got some comments.
We had a couple comments.
Nicole said, "Oh my OMG, yes, I say he's my honey love." Dang. Oh yeah, she's talking about how we use those terms.
The sugar terms, yeah.
She said, "True, so true." And then she said, "Same here. Once I cleaned up my nutritional intake in my party menu, it was different around my friends. Some support it, but more don't because they're not ready to switch up themselves."
Dang.
Yeah, Nicole, I understand. I've had my few moments of trying to do a little something different that wasn't well received.
Yeah.
Well,
so are you going to start eating right? Are you going to start eating better as a result of this? Or are you going to, not right now?
Not right now.
Damn.
I'm under I feel like I'm under a lot of stress right now. So, the whole thing about stress eating and you want to grab a beer and all this stuff. So
are you a runner? Because I remember talking to you like you're up early. Are you up early walking or you up early running?
I run pretty much all my life, but I haven't been able to run lately due to the weather. Well, I'll take that back. I see people out there running. That's another excuse. But yeah, I'm a runner.
You're a seasonal runner or?
I guess I have to call myself a convenient
runner. Cool.
But yeah, I run most of the year.
Yeah, I'm not a runner at all. I don't run. I'm not running from shit. So dogs, fights. Definitely not running around the block. I would like to though, Eric.
It's fun.
I honestly would like to. So I'm on record as saying that. And we just talked about like the reason we don't do the shit we say we're gonna do because we just talking shit.
Yeah.
It's really about putting it to action.
You know what? You and I should get together one weekend and go run.
I can make a bunch of excuses as to why not, but I'm not going to say that. I would like to.
Just a little light run. You ever been to that bridge that they have over in Bucktown, that elevated bridge where you can run and ride your bike and all that?
I've been over there. I've seen it. I've been over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool place to run.
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
Wow.
Think about it.
No doubt. So, okay. Characters from corporate?
Yes, sir. Characters from corporate. So we got a submission this week, and if you're new to the show, every week we do a characters from corporate segment where people get a chance to kind of vent or ask questions or get some insight about their corporate situation. Me and Stu have a little bit of this experience and maybe some wisdom in corporate, so we try to weigh in. So this week, our submission says, "Hi, I'm a 40-year-old Black man. I live in Minnesota."
Shout out.
Wow.
Shout out.
That's the first time Minnesota. Shout out to Minnesota. I work at a law firm as a file clerk. My position is quickly being phased out due to technology, COVID, and just ongoing trends in the legal world. I started working in law at 19 years old, and that time has gone by extremely fast. I had so many opportunities to move up at the firm, and I didn't take them. I spent most of my time being social, dating women at the firm, and avoiding any serious responsibilities. I know I don't want to go to law school or be a paralegal, but I'm completely lost on my next career step. Am I a character for wanting to get laid off so I can find myself? I have a family who depends on my salary, but I just don't want too much more time to go by before I can figure out what I really want to be.
That's good.
40-year-old law clerk, Minnesota, trying to figure out his next step, and he's thinking, man, I want to get laid off so I can figure it out. Is he a character for that student?
No, not at all. Not at all. What do you say?
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes it's good to, get laid off and have that time to refocus and recharge and all that stuff and think, your salary will be a little bit lower, I'm sure. But if you get that time to recharge, when you come back and you figure it out, you could come back to a higher salary.
Right. See, and that's why he's not a character for me, because exactly, it's not about the job. He's looking for an opportunity to be able to think and figure it out and develop himself while taking care of his family.
Yeah.
He said, I got a family, I'm 40, I got to figure this out. And Mom, no. Like, hey, that's part of the system. Like, it's unfortunate. We hate, as business owners, we hate to lose people.
Yeah.
And we hate to pay people who aren't giving their best, right? Like, we hate that. But I think me as a business owner, I recognize that that's always like what I'm up against. That's the tension between employers and employees.
No question.
I think that's the tension, So, now, man, you're playing the system. You got an opportunity. Don't mess up your reputation.
Yes.
Don't mess up your reputation. You're good. Sound like you're a good dude.
No doubt.
Sound like you own something. Got a family. You're 40. The rest of your days could be super sweet if you don't get too big-headed. Check your ego. Stay humble, bro. And
it's not always easy.
It's not always easy. Figure it out. No, you're not a character, man. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you, man, to stack your chips. What would you say, E? I got a lot for. I like this dude, man. I like him
too. I want to share that when I was younger, I actually requested to be laid off.
Damn.
I was at a firm that was slowing down, and I knew I didn't want to be in that industry anymore. And I actually requested what you're contemplating now. And I did it, and it was actually a game-changing moment because they did it. They were like, oh, you want to go? You out? Yeah, because they were going to probably lay me off anyway.
At least that's what you thought. You thought they were going to. You didn't know. You wouldn't confirm it.
They was going.
You didn't know. So, you gambled on yourself.
Now, this is what they did, Stuart. The first time that I went to them and said that, they were like, oh, yeah, let us think about it for a little while. But I think maybe 2 days later, they came back and were like, yeah, you out of here. You good. You want to be laid off, you out.
Damn.
So yeah, layoffs can be a great time for reflection.
Were you prepared for the layoff? Were you looking? Is that what you really wanted?
Yeah.
I did. Okay.
I did have enough sense to kind of think a couple steps ahead. So yeah, it was good.
So that's a good point. Young soldier, think a couple of steps ahead.
No
and get your game plan together before you put yourself out there, because you could be sitting with your ass in your hand if you don't do it right.
Absolutely. But I agree with Stu. You're not a character for that. I think that's very strategic. Just be careful.
Be careful. Good stuff, man. Congratulations to you. I hope everything works out for you, bro.
Likewise. Yeah. I hope it works out for you out there in Minnesota. Keep doing your thing. Man, we had a great episode today. I got to ask you this before we go out. Do you have anything, final thoughts that you want to say to the people as we wrap episode 3?
Listen.
Not episode 3, season 3, episode number 7.
Season 3 is about to be a wrap. It's historic. You know, I'll looking at the time, I know we're over. Hopefully my lady don't get me too tough. Baby, I'm about to be done. If you're listening, I'm about to be done. Listen, this is monumental. This is historic. I'm envisioning 20 years from now, and this content is going to be, it's classic. Like, we're laying it down. We're laying it down. We're laying it down right now. And to all of you who are with us on this journey in the beginning, if we were a stock, we'd be 3 cents a share. We started off at 1 cent. In 1 year, we're up to 3 cents a share. And then, you know, by the end of this year, we might be $10 a share.
That's right.
Y'all better come on. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all starting from the bottom with us. Now we here. Now we here. So these next rest of our days are going to be monumental, historic, unimaginable,
no doubt,
exciting. Come on, I could go on and on and on, Eric. I'm so excited.
I couldn't agree more, man. It is historic. We want to get to the point where we're blue chip.
We are blue chip.
Blue chip stock.
Paying dividends.
We're approaching, you know, we want you all to know, like, we're approaching it that way. We're trying not to be lazy and lackadaisical. Like, we're really trying to go after these topics and approach them in a way that they haven't been approached before, and talk about things that we don't hear being talked about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in.
France, the UK, all in the UK.
Germany is tuning in heavy.
South America, Canada.
South America, Canada. Yeah, Canada is definitely listening.
Come on, yeah, appreciate it.
We don't ever talk enough about Chicago, but man, Chicago is holding us down. The top city for all cities on our podcast listeners is Chicago.
Shout out to Chicago.
Yeah, shout out to Chicago. Gotta say that. So thank you for the love. We appreciate you.
And the DMV. Shout out to everybody in the DMV. Shout out Nicole. Shout out your people, E.
No doubt. Thank you. We appreciate it. So we will be coming back for season 4. Our team is stronger than ever, and we're gonna. Hey, in the interim and the hiatus, if you want to hear us talk about something, send it to us. Go on our website, moneysexgenxpodcast.com. Leave us a note. Send us an email, however you want to do it, but just be like, hey, Eric and Stu, why don't y'all talk about this? And we'll put our spin on it. You know, we're going to talk about it, how we do it, but, you know, we would definitely entertain that. Let us know.
Yeah, man. I don't even want to say anymore. Season 3 is wrapping. Season 4, I believe, can I announce the date? The date is set, right?
Is it set? I think so. I think we put it in
Sunday, April 18th.
April 18th.
Sunday, April 18th, we'll be back for season 4.
Yeah, man. So we got a 2-month hiatus.
Yeah.
We'll see what that is.
All right, so we're gonna go out with the Pool Artist Listen.
Musicspool.com.
I'm gonna play some JDI. He's a DJ.
Okay.
JDI, he has a song. He puts out these artists. So this is O Love, JDI Jamaica. I think that's how you pronounce it.
JDI, man. You know what? Love can sure be a problem. But but you gotta deal with it anyway.
Now I know you can't even hear that. I know you can't hear
Very
that.
low, very low.
You can't hear it. Hold on. I didn't even do it right. So let me get this. Boom. Here we go. Watch this. It's gonna be kind of loud. But
Hey man, before you go into that, your bow tie is crazy.
oh man, check.
You got a good look at that. Where you get that from, man?
And look, and just so they don't get it twisted, man. Look, bro.
You knotted that up.
I this is not a clip on, bro. I had to clip that together, man. I had to do that, man.
Grown man type situation, bro.
My lady. Shout out to my lady Angela, man. For
fatigue joint, man. That's nice.
I told you I had the fatigue joint. You ain't never seen the fatigue joint.
I never have, man. I like that. I really do. Beautiful.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
No
You have pushed me to step it up.
Okay.
It's inspired by Eric McLeod. This is the EM. This the EM, and with the emphasis for Eric McLeod. This the EM. He pushes you. He pushes you better to be a better business person. He pushes you to be on your finances. He pushes you to be a professional. Pushes you to be accountable. Pushes you to be a man. That's what EM, Eric McLeod, the emphasis.
Yeah, man.
EM, right? He pushed you.
I appreciate it. I try.
It's Sunday. I'd be in some, but I did cop a couple tracksuits because of you too. Kenyon Bear song.
You're gonna let us see those in season 4, right?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Let's get this JDI, man.
All right, man.
Jamaica, she's so supreme. I need you to talk to him real nice and smooth like. Let's go.
Just give me one reason I should take you back.
Shout out to JDI.
No, I can't believe you said that. You must be tripping to think you get me back like that. You must be crazy.
Happy Valentine's Day, ladies.
Some shit like that.
Happy B-Day.
All the things you
Valentine's Day to my lady.
Always stay. All the times you did me wrong, I never stray. All the things you put me through, always stay. And all the times
They're gonna have to go to the website to hear the rest of that. Musicschool.com.